Welcome back to the Ref Show. One of our talking points in this part of the programme will involve the game that you and I saw, Gary, at Hillsborough on Saturday between Sheffield Wednesday and Hull City. Nearly said West Brom there. And I've never seen the manager of Sheffield Wednesday as enraged and animated, Carlos Carvalhal, as he was following that game over this decision, although I suspect it may have had something to do with the late equaliser that Wednesday conceded very frustratingly. Let's have a look at the Premier League and maybe the two big talking points. We kind of held those back a bit like squirreling away your Christmas presents. Andre Marriner was in charge of Manchester United's 3-1 victory at Arsenal. What a fantastic game of football this was. Game of the season. Could have had many more than 4 goals, and David De Gea was absolutely inspired, wasn't he, in goal. But the Paul Pogba sending off is the major discussion point. A stamp. Pretty clear, wasn't it, Keith? What do you think?
I think it was. I mean, it's a clear red card. I mean, there's no question about that. I think what was interesting was how Andre Marriner came to that decision, because I don't think he came to that decision himself. I think he got help. I think because of the delay, either he was receiving confirmation or looking for it, but it was a good spot. And, you know, you wonder why players do that.
People were suggesting he might have been off balance, it was accidental or whatever, but it kind of didn't look like that, did it?
We have to take...
You don't think it was accidental or anything,
no, you know what you're doing when you're out there. It is fast, and like, you know, but you do know what you're doing. And like Keith's a big part of what's changed in refereeing. But you know, when you're down there and you're watching the two teams, there's another team out there, and it's brilliant the way they work together now. Like I'm stood, as I said, next to the fourth Mike Dean, the fourth official on Tuesday. And you can hear him talking to the referee. You put 3 minutes on, that's 3 minutes, you're done now, you're now into overtime. And it works like a well-oiled machine. It's really good. And what Keith's saying there, like, that's how it works now. The referee might not see it,
Keith
but somebody else
that.
Comes in.
Keith's the guy that introduced that radio communication.
Yeah, it works brilliantly.
Mark Lawrenson said a very similar thing. He'd watched the game from the touchline when he was on Match of the Day duty. I think it was at Watford, and he heard the assistant referee running the line in constant dialogue.
They're in a communication all the time, all four of them, and it's really good and professional to hear it. And then, like, obviously they make mistakes, can't see everything, but it really is fantastic.
I just hope that at some point in the future, either a programme is done or the authorities take the same route as rugby union, and that is allow some listening in to what is going on.
So we can all learn from it, and that can diffuse
I think there's this view that every player's an hooligan.
Going to swear.
Well, he's going to swear, and he's an hooligan. And the reality is, there are times when players will help you. They will help you. If the referee's got that experience, just to not overreact, stand off a bit, the body language of the player, what is being said. You can say to a captain, look, just calm your number 3 down, he's losing it a bit. And I think all those aspects of refereeing, if you like, and communication with players, the positive aspects.
And if players know they're being heard, that could curb 1 or 2 explosions on the field as well. Martin Atkinson had numerous calls to make, some tight ones in Watford 1, Spurs 1 at the weekend, didn't he? I know that you don't think he got them all right either. Watford had a couple of penalty claims. Do you think that they were both valid? Yeah,
I think that my concern, you know, Martin's at the older end of the group. And he's reliant in terms of giving the bigger games, and he delivers them, and I think he's had a very good almost 12 months of refereeing. But I saw signs of fatiguing, and I think that, you know, your guys get mentally fatigued, and as a result I think he switched off. There's a clear penalty kick. I think the scenario that he faced was that then a red card for denial on that first one?
Yeah, sure. I know, but the sending off was spot on, wasn't it? Spurs defender Davinson Sanchez with an elbow on Richarlison. Any complaints there?
I mean, I think he was in a good position, and you know, I think his experience said you've got to go. I couldn't understand the other one with Dyer, because I mean, Dyer had got his arm stuck out, well out, and kept it out. When the ball struck, he knew what he'd done, and he thought he'd get away with it, pull his arm back, and of course he did get away with it. So they should have had a penalty kick.
In every way. It would have been a sending off. arguably.
Well, I think it... I didn't think of that, to be honest.
Could have been.
It could have been, but I think it was a clear penalty, and match officials have got to see those and give them.
Got a series of ticks rather than ticking offs for these officials then. Craig Pawson, Stoke 2, Swansea 1, and 3 referees you'd like to see more of, and are justifying that because I think PGMOL are bringing them in more on your recommendation. Graham Scott, Brighton 1, Liverpool 5, albeit that the penalty award for the push might have been a bit soft, I don't know, but other than that...
Well, don't say soft, because we've called month in, month out that illegal use of hands and arms have to be punished. So he's given it. It looks soft. It's judged soft because others get away with something that's even worse. He needs to put more pace into his game, I think, Graham Scott. Somebody needs to get him on the training field and help him at his acceleration, because at times he loses contact with the game. Kavanagh has come in and is really, I think, creating good vibes. I think he's doing the right things. He's refereeing and managing the game well, doesn't look out of place, gets around the pitch really well. Good on him. Tierney, I think just give them more games. They've got to have the games to get the experience. I think this process of giving them a game and then a game 1 month ahead is not the right way to deal with young referees coming through. Okay,
Tierney had Leicester 1, Burnley 0, Kavanagh, Everton 2, Huddersfield 0, and Kevin Friend, Chelsea 3, Newcastle 1, and there were no headlines from that either. Let's get on to the Championship. Gary, you were back at... How on earth has it been so long? You were with us there in 2012 when you won the Sheffield Derby against... And then you left. Well, that's a polite way of saying you were sacked. And you've not been back. I mean, it's your club, you live in the city, your heart's in it. Why have you not been back before?
Because, you know, once you've managed it, you're no longer a supporter as such and go down to games. And, you know, I watch games basically looking at players, looking at how the opposition's going to play, looking at other teams. And, you know, I didn't go down to Hillsborough, but I've not been to West Brom before I went back, because it's like, you know, you don't want to go back down there. Initially, there's a little bit of hurt and you don't want to go back down to that place. And then, you know, I would find it really difficult to know that you've been a player there, you've been a manager there, and now you're reverting back to supporter. So, you know, I didn't go the other day because I'm a supporter. I went the other day because I would like to get back into football, and I want to know what's going on around the place. That's the only reason.
And it's important to show your face at matches.
One of the things that you have is like when I joined up with Tone at West Brom, as I say, you slip back into it pretty quickly, and all the talk in the dressing room, it all stays the same. The bit that you do lose is like when you're talking about players. What's he like? What's that like? Because you're not going out to games, and that's what I go to games to watch. And you're not there as a supporter as such. What was your feeling about the whole experience, the game, etc.? It was disappointing, to be honest with you. Not the game. That's nothing to do with me. I'm not talking about football, but like when I was manager of Wednesday, I'm in the dressing room, I'm at the training ground, the pitch. I never saw the stuff that's going on off the pitch in terms of the behind the scenes, and it looks tired, and it's been allowed. It's like an old person that's lived in a really big house suddenly can't afford to, but they don't want to move, so they don't bother with the top level, and they don't bother with the conservatory or whatever. They just live in 2 or 3 rooms, and that's the bit you see. And that's what I felt about Sheffield Wednesday, but the bit I saw on Saturday, it's not good enough for a club like that. Well, you mean the environment and the stadium? It's been the stadium's a fantastic atmospheric stadium, and it's brilliant because you've seen it, Keith's seen it, I've seen it. Now it's one of the older stadiums. It's still atmospheric and it's fantastic, but the biggest single thing about Sheffield Wednesday now is the support. Even my time there, the only thing that is Premiership standard, and I've just been back there, they are miles behind the Premiership. Well, I know the owner's invested heavily and he's trying very hard to lift everything in every area. Of course, really but I don't know him, but the support is the only thing that's Premiership. I think Gary's made a terrific point. I think. Sorry, Keith, 50 seconds. Yeah. I think he's made a very good point about... Can you speak about the penalty? Yeah, well, it was a penalty kick, Alan. What? Okay. So I mean, Dawson dived. Yeah. What was his intention and what was his reason to dive? It was to stop the ball progressing towards the goal.
This is
It's a
Reach's
penalty
shot.
kick.
People are saying it hit him on the top of the chest.
No.
Was it, if it's the top of the arm,
it's a penalty. I mean, he's put his body there, right, fine. Good for a defender to do that, but he's got his arm stretched out. He knows what he's doing.
So Carvalho's right to be aggrieved
Absolutely.
about that.
I think on that one I agree with him, yeah.
Mike Jones was in control, but didn't seem to be in control a lot of the time.
Well, you know, I could go on about Mike Jones. He's frankly, putting it blunt, he's not good enough.
Yeah.
He's not good enough for the Premier League. He's had his time, and I think, okay, they might give him a job as a VAR next season.
Well, that's an interesting thought for the future. Jamie Mackey of QPR was among two dismissals in their defeat at Preston. The QPR suggesting they might appeal. From what I saw of that, I think they might have a case. We could go on and on. We have to be selective about which incidents and which matches we look at, because there's so much to talk about, especially when Gary Megson is back on the panel after his eventful time recently. Gary, thank you very much. It's been great to see you again. Keith, as ever, do rejoin us for another Ref Show next week. See you then.